Hey, what's up guys, this is Zant here, and today I have an After Effects tutorial for you guys. So I'm going to be showing you how to sync your clips with Twixtor and the graph editor within After Effects. This is a little more advanced than just using Twixtor, so I do recommend that you have a little bit of experience with it, and a little bit of experience with basic things such as making markers on your song to designate where you want to put your shots to, and then you just need to know how to split layers and stuff like that. So pretty much what using the graph editor for Twixtor does is it makes it so your clip advances kind of to the song. So it speeds up where there's beats in the song, and then of course you hit the shots in sync with the song. So I'm pretty going to show you what this looks like here. I've got a RAM preview already ready for you guys. And what I've kind of done with this one is you see right here, he kind of like puts that bolt back in the gun in sync with the song. So that's kind of what you can do with graph editing. It really depends on what song you're using. If you're using a rap song that has kind of an irregular beat like this, you're going to be doing it at weird portions within the song. And songs that have more of a kind of flowing beat to it, kind of like a D&B song or something, you'd put them like pretty much just in between shots almost. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to start from scratch and show you guys how I did this. I'm going to leave my music on here, though, because I already have some markers on here where I want to sync it to. So the main beats of the song are this marker here, this one, and this one. So those are going to be the ones where I'm going to sync the shots to. So let me drag on my clip right here. I'm also going to show you guys how to put gun sounds to this. That is not the clip, that is the gun sound. Okay, here we go. There's the clip. Alright, so this is a clip, an Advanced Warfare clip from my friend Myth Milk. I was doing an edit for him in Evil the other day, so I thought I might use it for this. So pretty much you're going to want to find in the clip where he shoots. So right there, you see that little mark thing right there. That's actually the bullet coming out of the gun, so, well, in Advanced Warfare Energy or whatever it is. And then you want to just split the layer right there by pressing Control-Shift-D. And a quick tip, I'm going to show you guys something real quick. If you go to your preferences and go to General, there's a check mark right here that says create split layers above the original layer. What that does, that makes it so when you split it, the one that you split, it goes above the layer that it originally was instead of below. If you don't have that checked, it will go below, and I think having it above just makes it easier for syncing because you're always kind of close to your music and with your markers and stuff like that. So find the next shot. All right, right there. I'm gonna split that. I'm gonna do one more because I'm just gonna do 3 shots for this tutorial. Alright, so right there's our last one. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to drag these splits to where you want to sync the shots to. So if you use the shift button on your keyboard on Windows, I don't know what the button is on Mac, and then drag your mouse, it'll snap it to the markers. And if you highlight a clip and press bracket, it'll snap it to where your marker is right there. The other bracket is like that, but just do the front bracket for this one. And do your second shot to this mark right here where I've said I'm going to sync the second shot to. And the last shot, I'm going to sync it right here. Just going to snap it right there. Go ahead and trim this a bit because I'm OCD. Alright, so pretty much what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to deal with this starting one. So look up Twixtor, if I can spell it right, and drag on Twixtor Pro. And the settings I use for Twixtor Pro is 59.94 as your input frame rate, given that that's the frame rate of your clip. If you have something that's 30 FPS, I do not recommend Twixtoring it. It's just not going to work. Change image prep to contrast / edge enhance and warping to inverse with smart blend. And then go under this little tab right here, which is main background layer settings, and up the sensitivity to 100. So no matter what you're doing with Twixtor, you always have to keyframe it at 100 to start. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead a few frames and lower the speed to 20. 20 is just the speed I use as my slowest speed. I think 5 is way too slow. I just like to use 20. I'm going to move this forward just a little bit so the clip is advancing really slow right here. And then go 1 frame before this clip starts and then up the speed to 300. Now, depending on what game you're editing is going to kind of change what speed you're going to want to use for your scope in time. Advanced Warfare has really slow scope in times, so I recommend using a speed like 300, 250, something like that. For games like Black Ops 2, I'd use 200, and even for some games like MW3, maybe even under 200, because that game scopes in really slow. I mean, really fast. So what you're going to do is you're going to select these 2 keyframes right here, and then press F9 on your keyboard to ease them, and then press this button right here to go to your graph editor. Now, when you ease it, you get these little handles if you select one of these points right here, and that's pretty much how your clip's going to flow. So pull that down a little bit until you're just about scoped in, but your scope is still black like that. Alright, so now we got the beginning of that synced, and now we're going to go to the next part of the clip, which is where we split it next. And we're going to add Twixtor on again, and there's a shortcut. If you press Control, Alt, Shift, and E at the same time on your keyboard, it'll bring up the last used effect you did. So that's a lot easier than just going and finding it again, or you just drag it on if you want. Go ahead and input my Twixtor settings again really quick. Alright, now this is where it's going to get kind of tricky. So I've got to make it so the clip advances at these two markers right here, and he hits the shot at this marker right here. So we're going to make it so he scopes out at 300. Make sure you keyframe it at 100 and don't put it at 300 at the beginning. So keyframe at 100, go ahead one frame, and then make it 300. Alright, now we're going to go to this marker, and I'm going to hit U to bring down my keyframes. Create a new keyframe, make sure it's 300, create a new keyframe. And one before, let me make sure it's one before, yep, and create a new keyframe. So pretty much you define that the speed is 300 at these points right here. So go in between these. It doesn't have to be perfectly 100% in between, but just generally in between. Just eyeball it and put the speed down to 20 in between each one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing as we do with this one, and we're going to graph edit them. So select all of these keyframes, but not the first one. It's not the end of the world if you select the first one, but I just don't like dealing with it. Press F9 to ease them, and then bring up your graph editor. Now what we're going to do is we are going to play at the handles on these until our thing is synced. So one thing I like doing, I like pulling this one out a little bit just to have the scope out a little bit faster. As you see, it's a higher speed for more time right there, and then it kind of gets to a lower speed a little bit quicker. So make sure your timeline marker is on the frame before you hit the shot, and then play with these handles right here until it's like that black scope like I mentioned earlier. Now this one is going to be, we're going to have to pull these way down and really mess with this because this is a really short time to deal with right here. I might actually not do that scope out time really fast. But as you can see, he's about to scope back in, but that's not when we want it to be. So mess with these ones a little bit here too. Just make it so that 300% speed is as little as possible until you get to where it's almost synced. Alright, he's scoped in right there. Let's pull this back a little bit. I'm actually going to pull this in just a hair, and then maybe pull this one down too. Uh-oh. I think After Effects might... Yep, there we go. Happens. Alright, let's see if this one's going to sit there and just wait, or is it going to actually behave. Oh, come on. Alright, sorry about that. I had a little problem with After Effects. Decided it didn't want to respond for a second. Happens in the PC version, but just drag this down until scoped out a bit. So right there is about good. You want to keep this one as much as possible without taking down the speed from this one, but pretty much that clip is synced right there. That one shot is. And now we're going to go ahead and go to our next shot. Actually, here, I'll ramp preview that, show you what that looks like before we move on. Alright, so as you see, what we did right there is we just kind of moved the clip in sync with the song, so it advances in sync with the song, little speed bursts that are kind of tied to the beat of the song. And it just so happened in this clip, I didn't actually intend to do this when I edited this, but it made it look like he's putting the bolt into the gun in the same speed as the song, which I think with Advanced Warfare clips, it kind of just happens if you do it right. But that is just something really cool. So this next one, go ahead and add on Twixtor again. 59.94. You guys should know the drill by now. We did that in the last one. But this is just going to refresh a bit. Keyframe that at 100. Go ahead one frame. 300. Make a new keyframe right here. Alright, next one. And then the frame before. And make 300. And then same as the last one. Go in between each one. And keyframe it down to 20. And we got a really quick one right there, so it's going to be fun to play with in a second. Now, you can see this one, it's pretty much almost there. Actually, right here is when we want it. They want this part to be right here. So we don't have to adjust this one too much. I might actually take the speed up on one of these a bit. And just so we can get a little shorter burst of speed instead of like a bigger burst of speed that's a slower speed. So we keyframed, we didn't keyframe, we easy eased all of our keyframes and went to the graph editor. So I'm actually going to bring this one up to 350 and this one as well, just so we can get some kind of shorter burst of speed in there. And then just pull these down just a hair. All right, there we go. We don't want it to look like a hill. You want it to look like a point like that. Don't want to pull both these down at the same time. All right, so that's a little before where we want it. So like I said before, I like pulling this out a little bit just to have a faster scope out. And I'd say about right there is good. So this one's a little bit different. It kind of depends on your clip a bit, but bottom line, if you have one that's almost in sync already and you just want to make sure these are pointy, you don't want them to look like hills or it's going to be way too fast. It's just going to look funky. So just with this last one real quick, I'm just going to add Twixtor on. I'm going to make it scope out really quickly. I'm going to be doing the same thing like I did with all the other ones, because there are more shots that he hit over here. I'm not going to edit those though for the sake of time in this tutorial, and I don't want to keep you guys here for too long, because it's probably already 10 minutes already. So let's do 300 and then come about right there, put it down to 20. And then graph edit it. Oopsies, didn't select that one. F9 for easy ease, and just pull this out just a little bit. All right, so one last thing I'm going to show you guys. Actually, no, let me RAM preview this first. I'm going to show you how to put gun sounds on it real quickly, though. All right, here we go. All right, so pretty much that's how you sync it with Twixtor and the graph editor. Makes it look very nice. I highly recommend you do it in your I almost said tutorials, in your edits. It's a little more time consuming than normal Twixtoring, but it definitely makes a difference. So quickly, I'm going to show you how to put gun sounds on. It's very quick. So what you're going to want to do is you want to come over here and disable all the sound for these clips. You don't want any of that happening, so it sounds like you have more than one gun sound on it. And I've got the Moore's gun sound right here, which I got from my gun sound pack, which I released the other day. There will be a link in the description of this video to that, or annotation on the screen. I'll probably put an annotation on the screen right now. But if you want to check that out, be sure to check that out on my channel. And pretty much what you're going to do is you're just going to drag your sound on and use the bracket buttons to line it up with where you hit the shots at. So if you use the left and right bracket, select that first, it'll the left bracket will make it so the beginning of your selected clip will snap to the marker, and the right one will be the end of it. So go ahead and sync that first one, and I'm going to lower the volume of this real quick. Let me put that at -7 just because these are pretty loud gun sounds. I like mine kind of quiet. So just find your next one, hit Control-D to duplicate your gun sound, and hit the bracket button again. Hit Control-D once more, and find this last spot, and then snap it with the bracket key. So if we ran preview, we've got our gun sounds on there. So yeah, I hope this tutorial is very useful to you guys. If you enjoyed this tutorial and if it's helpful to you, be sure to like the video. And if you make any edits with this, be sure to tweet them at me or something like that, or let me know in the comments. I'll definitely check it out. It's this might have been a long tutorial, probably over 10 minutes by now, but this is something that does take a little bit of time to do, but it does make a difference in your edits. So if you guys like the video, be sure to drop a like and be sure to subscribe if you're new. Hope you guys have a good day. Zant out.